And we are live. What is going on, legend? But welcome back to Beyond the 90. Leicester won, or Manchester United won. Leicester won. I mean, we'll start. It's just me for this one. Again, we'll just get it straight into it. Leave your comments down below. I'll try and get to them as many as possible. First of all, overall, decent match. I mean, the beginning 45 minutes weren't great. I think up to the first goal. I mean, you take it back to the second, like when the 63rd minute goal. Then we started to play football a little bit. Then that game heated up for both sides. In the first half, we weren't great. We were playing some decent football. It's great to have certain players back, Johnny Evans and Fofana. We'll get into that in just a second. But you're looking at some of the balls and some of the play that we did. It was good. It was just missing that final oomph to get us through to the finishing ground. Not enough oomph in the first half. Again, we'll go into that. We'll start with the first formations. We'll look at, again, the 4-2-3-1. Kind of 4-3-3. I'm not exactly sure which formation you want to say, but Justin, Fofana, Evans, Castagna, both fullbacks. Say Justin Castagna did well. I think did well, considering the opposition that we're coming up against. It's not the best Man United team. Yes, they're in transition at the moment, but they're still a decent team. And I think the fullbacks did their job fantastically. Even the last minutes, Justin's making last-ditch tackles, running up the wing at times, getting some great space. People need to look out for Justin, especially on that right-hand side a lot of the time. He was playing really, really well there. Fofana and Evans, I mean, I've tweeted about this on Beyond the 90. We were so... It's been nice to have them back. And you saw the drop-off in difference a little bit when Evans came off and Amati came on. And you know I'm a big fan of Amati. The Ghanaian excellence was kind of at fault for the goal. We'll get into that a little bit later, but you could see, I think when we had that performance in there, we could really solidify how good we actually were. And with Evans and Fofana at the back, we look a lot more assured. Fofana bringing that youth and that kind of like vibrance and his ability to drive with the ball forward. And Johnny Evans just has this knack of picking the right time to go ahead, push into the box and get the ball in. It's really we've missed it, man. We've missed for Evans. And it's only with a match like this where you saw the attack. Yes, they had no out-and-out striker, but they still have Sancho, who, again, flawless mentioned on the preview, is one to look out for. Elanga, who, again, was quite good as well. So it's nice to have that back four back. Again, we've got a lot of, again, I'll bring up the fixtures, but we've got a lot of fixtures that are going to come up in the month of April. I mean, it's just relentless considering how many fixtures that we've got in such a small period of time. It's going to be a lot of matches. But we've got the players to come back. That Brown Boy's in. And not talk about me, talk about the comments. Thought the balls were really good. I think so too. Even if we are going into halftime, even though it was a bit of a weak performance, I'm going, do you know what? It's not. A lot of the times this season, we've been looking at it going, oh my God, what's going to happen now? Like it was towards the end of like the injury time where they're just coming at us. They planted themselves in, and the defense was strong. The going forward was pretty good as well. But yeah, let me know any more thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll try and bring them up as we go as well. But I think when we talk about the form, how we played again, defensively in the first half, can't really fault it too much. They didn't really manage to break through. You're looking at, again, Mendy, Tillemans, KDH. I think Mendy had a pretty decent game. You forget how small he is, but he gets around the pitch. He does what he needs to do. He plays that anchor role. I'm not really going to complain about him because I think he's pretty good. Tillemans, he sets his standards so high, doesn't he? Tillemans, he's a good player. Was he completely on it? We know how good he is. We genuinely know how good he is, and I don't think he had his best performance today, but that was a decent, good performance from him. But we know how good Tillman's ceiling is. LCFC believers in the comments. I thought we played very well today. I think we did as well. I think we had a decent-ish performance, and things was coming along quite well. Fox to Fox, I mean, make sure you subscribe to this guy. Again, if you want the link, mate, I can send it you, Jeff. But Mendy's best game yet. I think, yeah, Mendy was... I didn't see the Brentford game. Again, I was away for that one. But from what I heard, he did really, really well in that. This one, I think he did what he needed to do. is he going to? And considering he's still new to the team, considering we think we were going to be sold at the beginning of the season, he wasn't even added into the squad. He's done well. It was really good. In terms of what's it called? What we happen at the moment. I've just saw we were robbed. We will get onto that, believer. Don't worry, we will get there. A matter of opinions in. You need to go and subscribe to Brad's channel. If you know of anything in Leicester fan content, you'll know from Leicester Till I Die TV. Brad, this is him. A match of opinion. Afterwards, mate, send me the link and I'll put it in the description for you as well. So if you will message me on Twitter, I'll put a matter of opinion. He's got a lovely podcast. So make sure you go subscribe to him as well. But yes, overall, I'm happy with the performance that we gave. And we've got a very special guest that's just about to join in just 1 second as well. We have all the way from India. I don't know what time it is over there, but Akash, is brilliant to have you on. Just going through the game review at the beginning, but what were your initial thoughts?
It's relatively early, it's just midnight. Thoughts very positive because avoiding a loss at this stage against hungry Manchester United, who look desperate at times, is a very positive result and should be taken as that. But this was always a winnable game when you were looking at it, because this was our game to lose, and they were right on the edge doing everything, and they just got the better of Cashwas Michael's fault and they capitalized on it. So that's pretty much the game. And
Yeah.
not complaining too much.
Yeah, me neither. And I think Brad puts in a good point as well. I take a draw before today. I think it's and with the way they defended in numbers and the way that I've mentioned this defense before we came on there. I think the back four was pretty solid throughout. And yeah, happy with the 1-1. I'll take the 1-1 considering the run that we're on. I think we'll take the positives from this, considering the amount of saves that, again, the amount of opportunities we had. Some of them, again, we'll get into them a little bit more, but overall, I'm thinking 7 out of 10. There's room for improvement. This team will get better when these players will really gel. And thing as well, again, Chester puts in, great to see you again, Chester. Great performance, except the final pass. Yeah, do you know what? I think that's kind of sums it up. I think it was a great performance, but the final pass wasn't there, and the final movement to just kill the game off wasn't quite there, especially in the first half.
Yeah, exactly what we call the final third. There was everything was not linking up that well in the first half. I think Harvey Barnes was too selfish at times, and he passed only on occasions when other players were not available, and he made errors at his judgment, which is always a thing that you can rely Harvey upon. But that's where he thrives also. I mean, sometimes he can, as you saw, he flickered past some of the defenders and got in a good chance. So there is that part of it. And yeah, our midfielders, a lot of them were trusted in this particular game and they delivered. The final third was the problem. Kelechi Iheanacho is not that kind of a typical kind of a player who flourishes in those areas. But you know, when he's having a dampening of a game, he just thrives like you saw. You know, you were counting him out 1 second, and the next second he just thrives, and that's the thing that you know Rogers was trusting in this match to happen. Overall, yeah, except that final third, I think the defensive line, as you mentioned, was great. Everybody was defending, not just the defenders. I think the midfielders had a huge say in nullifying
Yeah.
a lot of the threats that was, I mean, breaking counter attacks, lightning fast counter attacks were nullified by Dewsbury Hall, Tillemans, Madison at different times. Papi Mendy did a brilliant job holding out on his own till the 90th minute. That was phenomenal from him. I didn't miss NDD for a second. So that is the highest praise that I can give him. So everything worked. We are just shorthanded in the firing department.
Yeah, and I think when you're looking at a match like this, you're looking going, okay, this is where the team look to somebody like Jamie Vardy and they go, right, he's the guy that I'm going to get the ball into. Again, Nacho, it was a really strange performance because I think all over the pitch, there was times where I just can't quite understand what he's going to do or what he's thinking. Like for the first, I think he had a shot again in the first half, he had plenty of time and he puts it wide. And you're thinking, you're not going to get that time against Man United in this game and even in the Premier League in general. And then he comes in and he plays some great football. And then the offside goal, we'll come on to that in a second, but it was just it was so frustrating with Nacho. But do you know what? I was surprised. Again, somebody's put this in that the Daka coming on raised eyebrows. I'm surprised. Well, we'll get into the second part of that later. But with Daka coming on for that bit, I was wondering, going, this is probably the longest Kelechi Iheanacho's had on a pitch in the Premier League. Normally he comes on as a super sub, and normally he substitutes after 60 minutes or 65 minutes. They actually left him on for a 90-minute period, and I think that's kind of showing that maybe Brendan Rodgers does see him as a first team, especially starting the game, where I'm not going to lie, I expected Patson Daka to start, not because I think he's a bad player or anything, but because I think Brendan prefers Patson Daka. But I'm straight saying A, have 90 minutes, and B, for him to to start the match.
I think the selection was a bit what we were not expecting today, and you
Mm-hmm.
are not just alone on that department, because if you look at the track record and you match it, you will see that Sonchu was on a bit of a streak against Manchester United, scoring from corners in every game against he was up against the Red Devils, and he was omitted. I was happy that we get to see that Fofana and Evans partnership right back where it belongs from the FA Cup final, and I was excited for the prospect of it, but I wasn't too sure because they were off a long time. Did not know how that partnership would flourish out. That happened. That was very, very good. Again, you say Kelechi Iheanacho. A lot of us thought Kelechi Iheanacho doesn't have what it takes to muster this game, but he proved us wrong in a very, very precarious position. He just got in the right place at the right time to get that Madison delivery, and very, very uncharacteristic of Kelechi as well to get it so precisely, beautifully. The second goal could have been another thing if it wasn't United. Maybe the spotlight doesn't get shown into that, but 50-50 I would say. But it was good effort. Taking the ball off Varane's fate is by no means easy. He's a Real Madrid proven defender. Whatever you say, he's still at his best. So any day I would say Kelechi Iheanacho got the job done, and he rightfully stayed in the pitch for 90 minutes. Though I'd say taking a gamble and using Daka's pace, Rogers could have
On the counter.
introduced Daka with some minutes to play under his belt, but well, we'll never know what happens until you try them things out.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not too disappointed that because we've been crying out for Iheanacho to have more minutes and we've got it. So I can't say, oh, why did he get as many minutes? It's just not what I was expecting. Just going back to Chester's point again, we need Pereira and Daka in. Pereira, I think in terms of fullbacks, the fullbacks did their job, what they need to do. They're still learning, they're still developing because they're both coming back from long-term injuries or medium-term injury, especially with Justin's going back. We'll build them up slowly. That's what's promising about this. But I think that, and then we mentioned Daka as well. Just says they were there for the taking. Do you know what? If we probably go to a Man United channel, I think they'll probably say the same thing, but a draw is probably fair as well.
I think they don't have anything to complain about in this fixture. They were the team that was at the risk of losing out a big result. Arsenal is sitting right at the fourth spot. Even Tottenham went above them, but the least they could have managed is a draw. And I think it was a tough battle. They were for the most part of the 90 minutes. I think we contained United in our own box. We didn't have any troubles in the last 5 minutes, the extra time. I think we were right on the edge because that's 4G time, and any soft touches into the box, it gets very, very tricky with VAR on play, and it is essentially benefiting the big teams as we can obviously complain about. I think those 5 minutes were the real tough test of our defense, and with Evans gone and Amarte coming in, it was a new challenge for our backline again, a reshuffling of sorts, but everybody was gathering up into that box, closing down on United's interpassing among themselves, and I think that played a big part. Swarming the box, as you might call it, was a huge factor in this game because United didn't look comfortable into our box.
Yeah, no, they definitely didn't. And again, it didn't help. It didn't help with them with Ronaldo not playing, and then they not had a recognised striker, and then Fernandes didn't really fill that role, and they didn't really have another option. But we'll have to see. Again, something to comes on to as well. Farner was amazing. I'm not sure about amazing. He's getting there, but there was a few. I think his youth. I say he had a good game, but there's much more room for improvement. But again, it's his first game back in for a long time in the Premier League in such a while against such a strong way that Man United should play. I think he lost his head a little bit. For example, I think for the Bruno Fernandes chance in the first half, there wasn't many chances in the first half. He let the ball go. A couple of times he did that. But I'm not going to get on his back too much because we know how amazing a player he is. And B, he's just coming back from that awful long-term injury as well. So I'm not here to criticize, but I'm here to go, look, I understand. It's just going to take time.
I feel the same way. Like when we got Fofana, the expectations were not that big, but after we got him, we saw him play for a season. I think it's very difficult to put a cap on his performance. I think he can go 2 3 levels above this performance, because at times when I remember in this match when Elanga was coming in, James Justin just missed tackling him, and Fofana straight away took one for the team. And
Mm-hmm.
generally, if Fofana was 100% confident and he was playing regular football, he wouldn't have done it because he has the capacity to
Yeah.
nullify that, and he didn't. So, in terms of confidence, yeah, 2 3 games, give him 2 3 more games, and he will be back on his usual best. And that partnership with Evans just speaks volumes, because all of them in the back line gelled perfectly. I think Castane owned a header, which from Paul Pogba in the first half, that was a stunning chance. And yeah, I think the back line was hugely improved upon. Sonchu not playing, I think
Mm-hmm.
right call to drop him at this moment. And in the pecking order, I think somewhere Daniel Amarte always precedes Sonchu after this recent performance in this season. So good
Yeah.
cause today. I don't have much to complain about.
No, me neither. Again, in terms of it's the only I think that I'll have more problem with VAR than I do with actually. If you compare that the McTominay challenge compared to like the
Mm,
Kelechi, there's all these things. Again, I don't want to complain too much about VAR because we could be here for days. Because it's I'm not going to say we're always the victim, but there's some things that aren't judged the same way. Um, we'll get into some of the
absolutely.
comments again, but yeah. So there's no point in going, oh, the technology's terrible, blah blah blah. It's like, well, got to move on, but let's criticize them where it's due. Um,
Mm,
Again, with people saying Amarte didn't look good, I think Amarte he was thrown in the firing line a lot. And I think Soyuncu again, as I see in the comment, Soyuncu. I don't think Soyuncu should have come on. I think if you play Soyuncu and you've seen what it's like when Soyuncu plays for Turkey when you've got Demiral, who's a very good defender. You need that leadership, and Daniel Amarte has proven that over the last couple of games prior to this that he can lead the back line. It was just the situation that we were put in as well. So I don't know if I have too many problems there, but let's go straight into. There's one player I want to get into because since he's come into the squad and since he's come in from his first time in his first season in the Premier League, even in this game, um, Kieran Hall, I mean, he just doesn't stop working. He's everywhere, and he's kind of that classical footballer that does the dirty work that makes that midfield tick. Yes, Mendy was great, and I genuinely think that you've got Tillemans, who didn't have his best game, to be honest, but because he sets his level so high, Dewsbury Hall shone. And you were saying the midfield was there, and a lot of it, I genuinely believe, was down to him.
Now remember, just a few months ago, how edgy we were when you knew that Tillemans might leave, and now we don't feel the same way because we have a Dewsbury Hall who has enormous potential, and sky is the limit for him, and that is the I think the valuation that we can give him at the moment. I think today he wasn't linking in the first part. Harvey Barnes and him were not intermingling among themselves. There was a tough read of each other. They were
Mm-hmm.
misplacing passes and all that. But it changed in an instant, because a midfielder should be performing on both the sides of the pitch. If you're not
Mm-hmm.
performing offensively that much, you should be contributing to the defensive side. He did that, which earned us the goal. It led to the goal, and that's why you say that he does the dirty work. Absolutely, that old school mentality of not giving up. We need that in this team, because I have seen in far too many occasions when there is not a proper leadership, the team's
Mm-hmm.
morale drops down. We have discussed this with Rob, I think.
Yeah.
Drewsbury Hall is one for the future, because you might remember we were considering Tillemans to be the future captain, and if he's going, we need a captain, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's right there.
Yeah, I genuinely think so. And the way he performs and what he means to Leicester coming from the academy next year might be a bit. too soon. I think give it another year,
Yeah.
and then he's genuinely in that bracket of like, right, we want to give it to him. And you were saying another player linked up with Barnes at times. I think Fox, I think he put it in as well. I can't remember, can't find the comment now. But he was mentioning that I think he was mentioning that Justin couldn't match up with Shaw Tellez. Delot versus Barnes was a great matchup all game, and there was times where they were. I think he nutmegged a couple of people in this game as well, which was great. But Barnes looks like he's flowing in that position as well, which is great to see. And again, as you were saying, in that second half, they clicked a little bit more on that left hand side.
Yeah.
They were like 1-2, 1-2, and Barnes was getting a load of good opportunities. I think he just needs to work on his finishing a little bit more. But we
Mm.
are seeing a great player, and back to his best. He just needs to add goals and assists to his game.
Absolutely. I think Barnes always plays brilliantly when he has Vardy to him. I think he's a little underconfident when he tries to pass it to somebody other than Madison. I think he thinks that they will not take the shot immediately, and he thinks he has a favorable chance of converting them. So we know he dribbles past defenders like left, right, and center, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, his decision making needs to improve. You mentioned that he and Dalot had a 90 minutes full of fight among themselves. I think I enjoyed another battle, particularly on the other side, James Justin and Luke Shaw for the first few minutes. That
Yeah.
was intense as well, because every time he was going past, he was essentially fooling Luke Shaw more than one occasion. So I was enjoying that battle really, really very much.
And
Yeah.
again, these players will only get again. So they couldn't compete, and I think the levels shown. And I think again they're still so young and so just coming back from injury that it's just about rebuilding the process at the moment as well. So yeah, that's kind of again to your point, it's exactly the same thing. And it was great to watch. I mean, we'll get into the goal. I mean, it took us 22 minutes to get the goal because it's really weird because there was nothing to talk about for a long period of time because it was just kind of middle
Yeah.
exciting kind of, but nothing was happening. It was a really weird combination. But that first goal again, Tillemans wins it, KDH wins it. KDH then passes it, gets past his man. Maddison with that ball in, I mean, he deserved the goal. But again, it didn't stand. But what a ball! And again, Iheanacho I just criticised previously, just going, oh my god, puts in a great header and puts us 1-0 ahead. And you're just going, this is the team that I know can play super quick football. And it's in the first half, a one-touch, beautiful play, but just no end product. And Madison with the whip in and Nasher with the header. I was like, that is a great bit of build up and play, and shows you that the team knows what they need to do, which we've not seen a lot this season.
That was a perfect goal to finish. I was buzzing because nobody saw it come. Just a corner. We dispossess the ball. They were on counter. And Roseberry Hall gets it back, and instantly we score. So that was brilliant. But I was really disappointed because we couldn't contain the lead for much long. And again, I say this was our game to lose after a certain point of time. We had it. We had Manchester United's number. They were on the edge, and on those times I can only reflect that you put a Cristiano Ronaldo into Manchester United team, we will still probably contain them. But if you put a Vardy into our team, we perform massively and we
Yeah,
win this game. I'm
especially
missing
with his
Vardy
record
so
against
much in
top
these
teams.
critical games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am missing him so much.
Yeah, and the thing is that he's still a great player, but the more we keep him on, the more these injuries are going to occur, and they're going to be hopefully not too sizable. Or we're going to expect him to be out of the team for long periods of time, like we are now.
Neil, I'm going to ask you a quick question. What do you
Sure.
feel now that Papi Mendy was left out first half of the season? Now he comes back ahead of Somare. What does it tell about? It tells us about Somare.
I think we've seen it with a lot of players that have played. There is no coincidence that some of the players that were in for him, so some of the teams like Chelsea were in for him, a couple of other players, a couple of big teams wanted him, and we got the signature first. he will be a good player. It will just take time. We saw with Sionchu with the first season he came in when Maguire was here that Sionchu looked like an absolute. He was all over the place. Half time was on his bum, giving away silly cards. He was a walking hazard. Then he calmed down, got his head together. The next season, when it was him and Evans, it worked really, really well. I think him and KDH will be a really underrated double pivot next season. Considering we've got Wolf and Ndidi there as well. You've got these two sitting there, and they can both just run around doing a one stays, one goes, or they both press at the same time. I think he'll be a good player, and we've seen. I think you've seen as well. There's bits in him. You're like, there's a talented player there. It's just going to take some time. Bearing in mind, Jamie Vardy, the first season, I remember watching him going, yeah, this dude's not quite cut it. And that was my first play. I was like, oh, and the next season he went on and he just smashed it. So it will take time, but I do believe in our process, our training methods, and if we've got to take him out behind the scenes for a second and bring him back next season with the full preseason and everything, in my opinion, so be it. What about yourself?
I feel that, whenever you got two players, you don't need to play the bias. If Mendy is filling his shoes, paying his dues into the African Cup of Nations, I think he has to play in this team, as
Mm-hmm.
was Somare winning right after the League One.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, who is at their best form should be starting regardless of their status quo. So I think that's a good decision for the moment. Mendy was omitted for the first part of the season because he was not flourishing that much, but he proved himself in AFCON,
Mm-hmm.
and that speaks volumes. And now I think it's time to shine. Yeah, until we play some friendlies and get to calm things down, because now is the time to push, and we can't
Mm-hmm.
experiment while we are pushing towards everything. That every match is meaning something for us. There is no easy
Yeah,
games, there is no relaxation. So we need to be at the top of our game. So I think, yeah, it's a wise decision. And yeah, let's not forget we have injuries. So if Papi goes out for today, Papi got injured.
yeah.
So let's see what happens. Somari is always there, Hamza is always there. So that's a good sign that we have players, we have good credible players, but we are not utilizing them just at the moment because their form is not at to that level. But if need be, we can always turn back.
I guess so. And again, it will just be what we do, and we train our own up, and then we bring him up to the standard. You're looking at somebody that I always compare to Sionchu and how terrible he was when we had to call upon him. It's just going to take that time for him to understand the Premier League, and I think that's okay. We can allow this play, and also let's not remember we have Chowdhury, we have Mendy there, we have Ndidi ahead of him. It will give him an opportunity to then work on this. And I don't think it's too bad. And you're right, with him just winning one of the biggest trophies this year in terms of football in AFCON, he deserves to be in the team, and he obviously shows he's a pivotal player. But yeah, we've mentioned him. We've got some players. We've got something to talk about as well. And then one thing, yes, we've finished off in terms of the Madison, I think. Well, we'll come back to Madison and Iheanacho. We've mentioned Iheanacho. We'll come back to Madison, but um, Brad puts in the comments as well. 10 games left, and I think we've only got Chelsea and Spurs. Yes, Spurs away and Chelsea away, I think, as well. Away for a part of that top six. Yeah, and I think it's a great point. The run into the end of the season, get the fixtures up at the moment. It's a lot of fixtures in a small amount of time, but they're winnable. Let me just bring it up now. I want to get your thoughts on this. Okay, so the next game we've got is PSV. Then so we'll go Premier League only. Crystal Palace. Then we've got Newcastle away, Everton away, Aston Villa at home, Spurs away, and then we've still got to play Norwich and Chelsea. Then we've got Watford, Everton, and Southampton. Yes, we've still got the Europa League to play with, but it's not. It's a kind-ish draw. I don't think it's too disappointing in terms of the draw. But I think Brad's right in terms of there is a thing there where we can really work on and develop.
There is for the last two seasons. I think when we dropped at the fifth position for Europa League, the last few games were really hard, and the last season I think a lot of other factors in other games were needed for us to flourish, but ultimately those things didn't happen. Compared to that, we have easier fixtures this time around. There is not any urgency to go above eighth at this moment, and you are always going to prioritize the conference league. So there is that. You don't have added pressure in the league. That is I think very elastic kind of a relaxation that you can have, and I feel that's good for us at this moment because we can prioritize games as needs must be. PSB wouldn't be an easy encounter. They play a very robust kind of football. They have ballers into their team. So
Hmm.
obviously, but today's game showcased that we are up for the challenge. We are in it to win it. So I'm
Yeah.
not too scared like I was in the previous rounds of this competition.
Yes, and also where we were in the table as well in terms of the Premier League. I mean, the little run we've been on has put us again at the moment ninth in time. We're in this little bracket of Brighton, who have just got their first draw as well in quite a few games. You've got, I think that was against Norwich as well. Leicester City of at the top of this little group. There's a massive gap between us and West Ham and eighth, but we've got two games in hand, 39. Aston Villa on 30. Again, the record of recently three losses. Southampton on great form. We're picking up probably the most form out of this little group. Crystal Palace again, they're in this group with us as well. But we're in a place now, Akash, where I think potentially we could close this gap. But what we are looking up and we're going right. We just want to finish. I think the aim should be to try and go as far. I think the aim now should be to try and go as far, aka try and win the Conference League, and B, trying to get that ninth position secured.
Absolutely, there are no other options available for us. Conference League is the least we can do. Out of all the competitions, we didn't defend FA Cup that much. As the current champions, I felt very disheartened by it. We're the
Mm-hmm.
title holders. The fight should have been more. We should have at least reached semi-finals, finals, but that was gone. Carabao Cup again in drastic fashion. We lost out to a Liverpool side that didn't deserve to win.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we should be getting the first. We should be the first champions of the Conference League. By the way, as you mentioned, I think Chelsea twice now. Did you see their result?
Yes, 4-1. Oh, I mean, there's definitely, especially with what's happening at the moment in terms of Chelsea and the potential Ricketts buyers as well. I mean, it's there's a lot of media that the media is ready to pounce on them. I think at any time if they get a draw, but they've been winning and winning, and then it's all flipped. I think Tuchel changes tactics to four at the back, and it's not worked from what I've heard. But yeah, it's kind of blown even that third. So if you look at kind of Tottenham, sorry, Arsenal, it could potentially, if they win their two games in hand, they go above Chelsea. So that third spot now is up for grabs in terms of where they are Chelsea wise. But yeah, we'll come on to that a little bit later because we are a Let's See podcast. But I just want to bring it back to that as well. A lot of people are mentioning VAR. Um, what do you want to say, Akash? Because I don't want to rant on it too much because I will be here for another half an hour. But what is your take?
My take is simple. If you are up against teams like such as Manchester United who get a lot of attention, you should be ready for some of the bias that we must endure in every fixtures here and there. I
Mm-hmm.
think compared to earlier events that has happened with us, I think in the Tottenham game, controversial handball that led us to miss out on the final day of the season. I think this was mellow in terms of that. I think both the instance can you can see a rational side to both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
McTominay's one's very easy to dismiss
Okay, fair enough.
because
Again,
his
it's
studs were not up. His studs were not
keep
up.
going. Sorry, there's a
So
little bit of lag.
okay, so his studs were not up. I think VR tries to check if the studs are up and in a dangerous position, and they can only give a call to the red card. So you can dismiss that. Again, Varane, a little bit of touch extends Varane. He splits essentially and slips. So you can take that away as well. So Nothing too much to I mean harsh, but certainly not that harsh as we have been accustomed to. But
Mhm.
could have won this one.
It could have. I think we had the better opportunities. Again, we've not even mentioned the Wesley Fofana header out of nowhere and De Gea with an unbelievable save. Um,
Oh,
just that was a great header, but an even better save. That could have been another moment where we could have gone. There were opportunities to win it. Nacho as well. Again, I've got to rattle through these. Nacho, where he has that going into before the goal. Varane loses
hmm,
man. Nacho just needs to do what he did. I thought he had the opportunity against Brentford to dink it over. Similar kind of situation, but just needs to dink it over. He didn't quite do it again. Not trying to blame him too much, but I'm looking at Nacho. Go, come on, man. I know how good you are, and you can finish these opportunities off. So we did create opportunities. We just didn't quite take them for a variety of reasons. It wasn't just because we were terrible. It just didn't happen. If this carries on, like 3 or 4 or 5 games in, I'm going to start to criticize. But in a couple of opportunities, I'm not going to go too hard on the team.
yeah. Right now, Nacho doesn't possess the technicality of converting all of those chances that he is getting, but he did get some of the greatest chances that you can aspire from a Manchester United backline leading to errors.
Mm-hmm.
And any other player who is not that reliant on a single foot could have done some trickery with it. But the support was also far too less for Nacho in those situations because he was the only man playing up front, and rest of the field was distributed into the flanks and behind him. So he didn't have a lot of options as well. So he had to take it or leave it, and he was not good on those. Can say that. Kasper Schmeichel particularly was having a good game. Was
Mm-hmm.
having a really good game. Stopped Bruno Fernandes, saved a couple, but really his problems with distributions is the reason that they scored. They found us vulnerable in the backline. The backline was not at fault. I think the 90% throughout the game, but on
Mm-hmm.
on those one moment, I think they just capitalized and it happened. What happened?
Yeah, and that's the thing with the Premier League. It just takes that one opportunity, and we're out there. And again, we've criticised again. I don't think Schmeichel had a lot to really do, to be honest, throughout the
Mm,
majority of the
mm,
game. But when he was called upon, he delivered for the majority of that. And again, we talk about going today, in where we were playing, the kicking out from the back wasn't that great. When he gets put under pressure, his kicking isn't great. And today it kind of showed. But this is again a debate for the summer, because I had this debate because the Man United fan that came on, Flawless, that came on Wednesday, who was saying exactly the same thing about De Gea. He can pull off worldies, but is he that modern keeper that can play out from the back? He hasn't got that. But so the fan base for De Gea is split as well. So I thought that was really interesting, about what they said. Rich in the comments. Hi, Rich. How are you doing? 2 points dropped for Leicester. I'd say you were very poor. I don't think you were really poor considering everything that happened. I think it's a fair result considering towards the end I was like, just finish the game, finish the game, finish the game, because we weren't going to score that second goal. So yeah, I think there's positive from us to take, considering the run we've been on. Anything else to mention? I think anybody. I think we've pretty much covered everybody. The only person that we mentioned, do we mention Harvey Barnes? I think we did.
we did, we did.
Yeah.
We
Anybody else
mentioned
that we?
everybody.
I think so. I think so. There's everybody to go. But yeah, if you've final thoughts, if you want to sum up, Akash, before we tune out.
Final thoughts would be, into the coming weeks, we prepare better for the matches into the final third. That area has been lacking. I think all the departments can rest easy. They did the job good,
Yeah.
but the final third really needs a bit of tinkering and work, extra work. I think Nacho should be ready for opportunities because he's getting a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And his support system should be in place because he's not the ideal person to carry forward and finish it. He's not the Jamie Vardy that we know. So so we need help, and I think you can try a two frontman pairing again, and until Vardy is missing, because I don't know. I just feel that sometimes, giving playing the three man up front into both the flanks and center, like they did in this match, is good for one half, and in the other half you can change things a bit, because Manchester United was playing with all of their defenders, strongly guarding their back, and despite that we found plenty of opportunities. So those opportunities went into vain. You should have an extra attacker, or maybe Madison could play a bit up front as a second striker or something, because he can do that job. He can.
I, I think he lacks that pace to really, and the physicality to really do that. I think if when we've seen him play up, when we've seen somebody play up front, it tends to be Kindresby Hall that plays in that position
Mm.
alongside. I think we saw it against West Ham, and I think we saw it against Rennes in the first leg as well. So yeah.
And another news, Danny Ward is out for the season, so trouble in the keepers department a
Yeah,
bit.
I mean
I
we've
think
got
we should be
Yakubovic.
protective of Casper.
Yeah, yeah, we'll have to see that, because again, he's have to play every single game. I don't think it's too much of a hassle for Schmeichel, but yeah, we'll have to see. And again, coming into the next game, which is against PSV, thank you, Ethan, for letting me know. Again, we did mention VAR, just seeing a comment already, and yeah, it's just VAR. That's going to be one for Twitter. I'll throw it over to Twitter, and you can have a look yourself. PSV drew 3-3 today. I mean, 3-3. So maybe they've got defensive problems, but they've got good attacking problems. Again, we'll see what happens
Yeah,
there. We'll
Twente
try
is
to,
not that great of a side.
yeah. Okay, fair enough.
They're not.
I don't really know much about Dutch football, to be honest. So fair enough. Thanks for letting me know. But could be quite good. Fast King. I'm only mentioning this. No, it's not him. I thought it was a friend of mine, but you stick to cars, mate. No problem, unless you're a Man United fan, and we'll sell it, but for free. But yes, apart from that, thank you, Akash, for joining. Again, links to his Twitter is make sure in the description, or you can follow him at the Rec Joker right there. Make sure you go and follow him there for amazing content. Again, Akash, thank you for doing the article on us and on some of the Leicester football YouTube stuff. So I really appreciate that. If you enjoyed the video,
Thank you,
like and
man.
subscribe. Again, we will see if this man turns up, and if again from the John Percy we did cover, if he's actually going to sign for us on the right. We'll see. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see everybody in the next video. So goodbye.